Okay. Today, let me start with Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Okay. So, in the previous class, we discussed about Hurwitz criteria, and we also discussed about the drawbacks of Hurwitz criteria. So, the main drawback of Hurwitz criteria was related to higher order systems. So, when the system order is greater than 3, solving a determinant becomes very complicated. So that being the major disadvantage, the mathematician called Routh, came up with a modified technique to assess the stability of a given control system. And the modified Hurwitz criteria is also called as Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Okay, so Routh-Hurwitz criteria is based on tabulation of coefficients of characteristic equation. So this method is based on the tabulation of characteristic equation. So it is somewhat similar to your Hurwitz criteria. Even in Hurwitz criteria, what you have done was collecting the coefficients of characteristic equation. So even in Routh-Hurwitz criteria, we would be doing the same thing, but a different plane. Okay. So let's see how exactly we can apply the Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Now, for Routh-Hurwitz criteria to apply, first you need the characteristic equation of the system. Let us say the characteristic equation is f of s, and f of s is given as, let's say, a naught s to the power n plus a1 s to the power n minus 1 plus a2 n minus 2, a3 n minus 3, a4 n minus 4, so on and so forth until you reach the last coefficient, that is an, and which is equal to 0, because characteristic equation is always equated to 0 in order to find the roots of the characteristic equation. All right. Now, once you have the characteristic equation, from the coefficients of the characteristic equation, okay, so what I have done, I have underlined the coefficient. You can create something known as a table, which is also called as Routh table or Routh array. Okay. It is also called as Routh table or Routh array. All right. Now, the next task is to create the Routh table. Okay, so please carefully observe. So to create a Routh table, what we have to do is, in the first column, okay, let's say on this index column, I would say this as the index column. You have to start writing down the powers of s, starting from the highest power. Highest power is always s to the power n. So let's say this is s to the power n, and the second element going to be s to the power n minus 1, right? First you have s to the power n, followed by s to the power n minus 1. Okay. Let me put a separation line. Once you have s to the power n minus 1, then you can have n minus 2, n minus 3, so on and so forth, until you reach the last power of s, that is s to the power 0. All right. So first you start listing down the powers of s. Okay. Once you are done with writing down the powers of s, what you need to do is you need to start filling the entries in the root table. One thing, two rows, that is s to the power n row and s to the power n minus 1 row. Okay, let me call it as row 1 and row 2. So first two rows are directly written from the coefficients of characteristic equation. So let me write here, row 1 and row 2 are written from coefficient of f of s. All right. Only the first two rows. Now, how do we write the coefficient? So while writing the coefficient, what you have to do is starting from the highest, starting from the coefficient of highest power of s. Now, in the given characteristic equation, what is the highest power of s? Is s to the power n. And what is the associated coefficient is a naught. So, starting from the coefficient of highest power of s, alternate coefficients are written. So, what do you mean by that? So, my highest power of s is s to the power n, and my corresponding coefficient is a naught. So, my first coefficient is going to be a naught. After writing down a naught, alternate coefficients are written. What do you mean by alternate coefficient? A naught, and then you have to skip one and go to the next. So, a2, a4, a6, a8, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, one important point I want you to, highlight is that don't by heart stating that row 1 elements should be even coefficients. No, it's not like your Hurwitz criteria. It's not like you first write down even coefficients and then you write odd coefficients. No, it won't work in that way. So what I said, starting from the highest coefficient of highest power of s, alternate coefficients have to be written. All right. So you go with that logic. Okay. And in the second row, that is row 2, write down the missing coefficients. Write down the missing coefficients. Missing coefficients are those coefficients which are not found in row 1. So what are those? A1, A3, A5, A7, A9, so on and so forth. So this is how the first two rows of roots array or table is constructed. Once you are done with the first two rows, you can go ahead with finding out the coefficients of the remaining rows. Okay. Now, coefficients of the remaining rows are found slightly differently. Okay. So, using some multiplication technique, we will be finding out the coefficients of, say, row 3, row 4 until row 7. So, let's say the coefficient of third row, that is the first element of third row, is some B1, and let us say second element as B2. Okay. What is B1 and what is B2? I do not know. So that I need to find out. All right. What is B1? What is B2? I don't know. I need to find out. So first, let me write B1. B1 is found by multiplying. Okay, so please watch the multiplying sequence. Multiply A1 with A2. Okay, so this should be the first multiplication priority. That is, A1 needs to be multiplied with A2. So A1 into A2 minus the off diagonal. Okay, so A0 into A3. A0 into A3. Okay, this should be your second priority. So you have to multiply A1 into A2 minus A0 into A3. Why? Because there is a solid proof to employing this particular formula. So the proof is based on linear algebra technique. All right. So we are not trying to prove the Hurwitz criteria. We are basically trying to just use the formula to determine the stability. Okay. So let me repeat. B1 is found by cross multiplying A0 and A3, and then subtracting. A1 and A2. Okay, A1, A2, and then subtracting with the product A0 into A3 divided by the first element, that is A1. A1, A2 minus A0, A3 divided by A1. That's how element B1 is formed. Similarly, element B2 is formed. Okay. Now, how will you find B2? The same technique you can apply. To find B2, you have to leave off. Okay, where B2 is found? B2 is found in the second column, right? This is your first column, and this is your second column, and this is your third column. To find B2, you have to leave off the elements of second column. Leave off the elements of second column, and then you apply the same multiplication logic. That is, multiply A1 with A4. So let me give this as first priority. So if this is A1, A4 minus A0 into A5. A5. So this is your second priority. So A1, A4 minus A0, A5 divided by A1. Divided by A1. So and so forth. Okay. So similarly, if I were to ask you, let's say you try to find out B3 element, how will you write B3? To find B3, you leave off the elements which are found in the third column, and then start multiplying A1 with A6, A1 with A6 minus A0, A7. Divided by A1. Okay. So that's how the elements of s to the power n minus 2 rho are calculated. Okay. And this process is continued. For example, the coefficients of s to the power n minus 3 rho, let's take it as, say, some C1 and some C2. And let us see how will you determine C1 and C2. The same logic you are supposed to apply. Okay, that is the cross multiplication logic. So you need to determine C1, right? So to determine C1, now you have to, since you know the elements or elemental value of B1, B2, and B3, so you can make use of now B coefficients. So how will you determine? So C1 is equal to, okay, just consider the row above C1, that is B1. So B1 into A3, okay, this is your first multiplication priority, that is B1 into A3 minus A1 into B2. A1 into B2 divided by B1. So that's how you calculate C1. Similarly, C2 is calculated, okay, by leaving off the second column entry and then by multiplying B1 with A5 minus A1 with B2 divided by B1. So on and so forth. So this process is continued. This multiplication process is continued until you get the coefficient of s to the power 0. So this is a good cross check for you. So if you look at your characteristic equation, what is the coefficient of s to the power 0 term? Is an. So in the end, you are supposed to get an. If you get an as your last coefficient, you can say that you have carried out the multiplication in a proper manner. If you don't end up in getting an, then you can say that somewhere the multiplication has gone for a toss. All right. So this is how you fill the entries in the Routh table. So once this Routh table is filled up, you can apply or you can go ahead with stability check. Okay. So next comes the stability check. The necessary and sufficient condition for the system to be stable is that the entries in the first column in a Routh's array must have the same sign. So this is the necessary and sufficient condition for our system to be stable. That is the entries in the first column. Okay, what do you mean by entries in the first column? That is these entries. A0, A1, B1, B, C1 up till AN. So all the entries or all the elements in the first column should have the same sign. Okay. When you say same sign, it should be always positive. There is no possibility of getting these coefficients having negative sign. Okay, I'm talking about all the coefficients cannot have negative sign, because when you multiply, few of the coefficients can become positive. So that's the reason, whether negative or positive, what we are stating is that all the first column entries should have the same sign. If A0 is positive, then A1 should be positive, B1 should be positive, C1 should be positive till AN element. All right. Then only you can say that system is stable. If, let's say, suppose there are any sign changes in the first column of Routh table, then the system is said to be unstable. All right. So let me repeat: system is said to be stable if all the elements in the first column of Routh's array have the positive sign or the same sign. If there are any sign changes, then system is said to be unstable. If there are any sign changes, then you can say that system is unstable. Then you can say that system is unstable. Okay. So that's about your Routh's criteria. Okay. Now, Routh-Hurwitz criteria, it won't just talk about the stability. Okay, that means to say whether the system is stable or unstable. Along with stability, the Routh-Hurwitz criteria also tells you how many roots are present on LHS of the S plane and how many roots are present on RHS of the S plane. Okay, let me repeat. Routh-Hurwitz criteria, apart from the stability answer, that is whether the system is stable or unstable, it also those loopholes are located on RHS of the S plane. So the second information also it gives. And the third information is something to do with the relative stability. Okay, so this relative stability maybe at the end of module 3, let me consider. Okay, so it can also address something known as relative stability of the system. All right, so that's about the Routh's criteria. Okay, how to create the Routh table and how to judge the stability from the elements of the Routh table. So a system is said to be stable if the first column entries in the Routh's array have the same sign. If there are any sign changes, then it is called as an unstable system. Okay, let us consider a simple example to understand the Routh's stability criteria. All right. First, so take down the first problem. Okay. Examine the stability of f of s is equal to s cube plus 6s square plus 11s plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay. Fine. So this is the given characteristic equation. So we need to apply Routh's method to judge the stability. All right. So first you construct the Routh's table. Okay. You can give the title as Routh's array. Okay. So first you construct the Routh's array. Okay. So first you write down the powers of S in the descending order, that is starting from highest power. What is the highest power of S? 3, right? So first comes S cube, then comes S square, then S to the power 1, and then S to the power 0. All right. So first you write down the powers of S. Okay. And you know that the first 2 rows are constructed from the elements of or from the coefficients of characteristic equation. Okay, so this is your row 1 and this is your row 2. So R1 and R2 are constructed from the coefficients of f of s. Okay. Now, how will you fill up the first row? What technique did I say? To fill up the first row, what you have to do is starting from the coefficient of highest power of s. Starting from the coefficient of highest power of s, the alternate coefficients are noted down. Okay. Now, what is the highest power of s? Is s cube. And what is the coefficient of s cube? It is 1 because it is s cube, or you can say 1s cube. So, coefficient of highest power of s is 1. So, write down 1. And then you write down the alternate coefficients. Okay. So, 1, you skip s square and you go to s to the power 1. So next coefficient is 11. That's all. because s cube you have, and then you have s to the power 1. That's all you have. Okay. So that's your row 1 element. In row 2, what are you going to do? Missing elements you are going to tabulate. So in row 2, you have to just substitute the missing elements. What are those missing elements? Coefficient of s square is 6, and coefficient of s to the power 0, that is also 6. Done. So you are done with the first two rows of Routh's table. All right. And now you can start finding out the element of s to the power 1 row. How will you find the element of s to the power 1 row? I have given you the technique, right? So multiply 6 with 11, 6 into 11, minus 1 into 6, divided by 6. All right. And what about this element? This element becomes 0 because you don't have any coefficient beyond 11 and 6, right? So when you multiply to find this element, what you will do, you will multiply 6 with 0. So 6 minus 0 minus 0 divided by 6. So that will give you a 0 value, right? Now, if you simplify, what do you get? 6 into 11 is 66. 66 minus 6 is 60. 60 by 6 is 10. Okay, let me write here. 6 into 11 minus 1 into 6 divided by 6. So that will give you 10. 10. So coefficient of s to the power 1 is 10. And then you have 0. Okay. Similarly, you try to find out s naught. Okay. How will you find s naught? 10 into 6 minus 6 into 0 divided by 10. How much you'll get? This is 60 minus 0 divided by 10. So 60 by 10 is 6. So you should get the coefficient of s to the power 0 as 6. So just check here. This is s to the power 0, right? And the corresponding coefficient is 6. So this is the cross check. So you can say that you have carried the multiplication properly. So this is your Routh's table. Okay. Now what I will do, since I don't want to crowd the table, anyhow I know the value of s to the power 1, I'll just substitute here. Okay. So you can replay the video to check the method. So this is 10. Okay. And you will get the coefficient of s to the power 0 as 6. Done. So that's your Routh's table. Once you are done with Routh's table, what you can do is you can inspect the elements of the first row. So for the system to be stable, you should have the first column entries of Routh's table with positive sign or with the same sign, right? So 1 is positive, 6 is positive, 10 is positive, and 6 is also positive. So you can say that all the first column entries have the same sign. Hence the system can be judged as a stable system. So the system can be judged as a stable system because there are no sign changes in the first column entry. Okay, so it's a stable system. So you can cross check whether it is stable or unstable. How do you cross check? By finding out the roots of the characteristic equation. So for this particular system, okay, how many roots you are going to have, or how many closed loop poles you are going to have? 3 closed loop poles. And all the closed loop poles should be there on LHS of the S prime. I'll leave it to you, okay? Because the other day I've taken a couple of examples to examine the stability based on the locations of closed loop poles. So this particular characteristic equation, I will leave it to you. Please cross check after this class. All right. So this is a stable system. All right. So a very simple one because we just considered third order system. Okay. So now let's slightly raise the complexity by considering fourth order system. Okay. So write down. Judge the stability of the given system. Judge the stability of the given system. So it's given that f of s is s to the power 4, 2s cube, 4s square, 6s plus 8 is equal to 0. Okay. As you can clearly observe that the given system is a fourth order system. And you can imagine the amount of calculation burden we may have to go through if at all we use Hurwitz criteria, because solving 4 cross 4 determinant it is closer to Herculean task, you can say. All right, but you can find the stability of a fourth order system in an easy way using Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Okay, let's see. Is it that easy or is it still complicated? Okay, let's see. So the same rule holds good here. Starting from the highest power of s, the s terms are written. So you have the highest power of s as 4. So first you write s to the power 4, followed by s cube, s square, s1, s0. All right. And I have told you that the first two rows, R1 and R2, are constructed from the coefficients of the characteristic equation itself, right? All right. So starting from the coefficient of the highest power of s, alternate coefficients are noted down. So coefficient of highest power of s is 1. So I'll write 1 here, and then I'll start writing down the alternate coefficient. So my alternate coefficients I will underline because this characteristic equation is slightly big, right? So that's the reason. So just I'll underline. Okay, so what do I have? 1, and then 4, and then 8. Okay, so these are my first row elements. And in the second row, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to fill the missing coefficients, right? What are those missing coefficients? The coefficients which do not have any underlying signs, right? So that is coefficient of s cube, 2, coefficient of s to the power 1, 6, and yeah, you don't have any other coefficient. If you don't have any other coefficient, just to keep the dimension, you can substitute with 0, okay? Because you have written 3 elements in row 1, and while writing down row 2, what happened was I was left with only 2 elements. So just to maintain the dimension, the third element I have substituted as 0. All right, fine. Once this is done, what you can do, you can start finding out the elements of a square row. Okay, so these elements you can find out. So how will you find out? So what I will do, since there is no space here, first I will write down the equation and then I'll simplify. Okay, and then I will replace that equation with the coefficient. Is it good? Fine. So 2 into 4 minus. Okay, so this is first priority. Always bottom to top is always first priority. Okay, so 2 to 4, 2 into 4 minus 1 into 6 divided by 2. Okay, so how much you will get? 4 into 2 is 8. 8 minus 6 divided by 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. 2 by 2 is 1. So you should have 1 here. Okay, I will write it later. First you copy this one. Okay, now let me find the second element. So how will I do? So I'll okay, for the second element. So it is 2 into 8 minus, okay, what is that I should do? I should multiply 1 with 0. So 1 into 0, that is 0, divided by 2. Divided by 2. Okay. I hope this is clear. So let me simplify the first element here. So 4 into 2 is 8. 8 minus 6 is 2. 2 by 2 is 1. So the first element, you will get it as 1. All right. And if you simplify the second term, what do you have? You have 2 into 8 divided by 2. So 2 gets cancelled. Hence, you are left with 8 here. And you don't have any element. That's the reason you can write 0 there. So coefficients of s to the power 2 rho will be unity, 8, and 0. All right. So having known the coefficients of s to the power 2 rho enables you to find the coefficients of s to the power 1 rho. Okay, shall we do it? Okay, I'll use a different color here. So I need to find s to the power 1 rho, coefficient of s to the power 1 rho. So what will I do? I will multiply the recent coefficient, right, with the row lying just above that particular row. So my coefficient which is lying above s to the power 1 rho is unity. So I'll multiply this manner. 1 into 6 minus 2 into 8 divided by 1. So what I have written? 1 into 6 minus 1 into 6 minus 2 into 8 divided by 1. Okay. And what about this coefficient? 1 into 0 minus 2 into 0 divided by 1. So that becomes 0. Okay. Let me simplify this particular term now. So 6 minus 16, right? That is minus 10. So coefficient of s to the power 1 rho is minus 10. That's all. Okay. Finally, you have the coefficient of s to the power 0 rho. You should get it as 8. Let's see whether we get it or not. Okay. So how do we find? Let me use red color here. So negative 10 into 8. So that is minus 10 into 8 minus 1 into 0 divided by minus 10. So what do I get? Minus 10 gets cancelled. So I'm left with 8. So s to the power coefficient of s to the power 0, I will get it as 8. And I can say that I have executed the multiplication properly. Okay. So this is how you find the entries of the remaining rows. Okay. That's fine. That's the manual work which you have done. Okay. Now let's come to the stability part. Okay, can anyone tell me the system stability? Is it a stable system or an unstable system? There is a slight unstable system. There's slight reflection, so I have to block the natural light here. All right, it's an unstable system. And on what basis did you say it's an unstable system?
Negative sign in the first row.
Yeah, negative sign, right? So for Routh-Hurwitz criteria, in order to have a stable system, we want all the first column entries to have the same sign. But as you can clearly observe, in the first column, there is a negative sign. Hence, you can say the first column entries do not have the same sign. Hence, the system is unstable. Unstable. If the system is unstable, then you can always say that there are some roots which are present on right half of the S-plane. Okay. Now, how will you find the roots which are present on right half of the S-plane? So remember one thing, Routh-Hurwitz criteria also mentions that number of sign change. Okay, please make a note of it. Number of sign change in first column. Okay, number of sign change in the first column is equal to number of poles in RHS. Number of sign change or sign changes in the first column is equal to number of poles present in RHS of the S-plane. Okay, can anyone tell me how many sign changes do you have? Two sign change. Okay, but I see only one negative sign. So how did you say two sign change?
1 to -10, then -10 to 8.
Perfect, correct. So you can see that this one is positive. This 2 is also positive. And this 1 is also positive. Now what has happened? The sign has changed from positive to negative. Correct. So +1 you have had. Then later it became -10. And later it became again +8. So again it became +8. So that's how you track the sign changes. So since there are two sign changes, so can you tell me how many roots are there in right half of the S-plane? Two roots. Two roots. So what is the order of the system? It's a fourth order system. So fourth order system should have 4 roots or CL poles. CL stands for closed loop. System is unstable, that's fine, because the rule says so. Now, out of 4 roots, how many roots are there on LHS and how many roots are there on RHS? That can be found using the sign chain. So, out of 4 roots, 2 are on LHS and 2 are on RHS. Okay, so you can say that 2 roots are there on LHS and 2 roots are there on RHS. Okay, remember one thing, it just talks about the presence of closed loop poles on either side of the S-plane, but it will never tell you the exact locations of closed loop poles. Okay, so the exact locations of closed loop pole is given by a better technique called root locus technique. So in module 4 we will be studying about root locus technique. So this will tell you how many poles are present on RHS and LHS of the S-plane, but it will never give you the exact locations of closed loop poles. Okay, so that is the what you say information what you can extract from Routh-Hurwitz criteria. All right. Okay, fine. Is the visibility good? Slightly overcast conditions, difficult. Okay, fine. Let me take a different system now. Okay. So let's say, suppose okay, I'll just take a random system and you please tell me the root column entries. Okay, say example 3. Just taking my own characteristic equation. So s to the power 4 we have taken, right? So let's start with s5 plus 2s to the power 4 plus 3s to s cube plus 4s squared plus 5s plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, so s cube plus 2s to the power 4 plus 3s to s cube plus 4s squared plus 5s plus 6 is equal to 0. Judge the stability using Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Okay, so try solving this problem. Okay. So highest power is s5 followed by s4 and then s cube, s squared, s1, s to the power 0. Okay. So first let's write down the descending powers of s followed by the coefficients of the characteristic equation. So let's start from the coefficient of highest power of s, that is 1, right? Because coefficient associated with s to the power 5 is 1. So it is 1 and then 3 and then 5. Right? So these are the coefficients of row 1. And in row 2, you are going to write down the missing coefficients. That is 2 and 4 and 6. Done. So you are done with row 1 and row 2. Now you start filling up row 3 elements. Okay. So what I will do for row 3 elements, I'll just write some B1, some B2, and some B3. Okay. And what is B1, B2, B3? Let me write it separately. So first let me write B1. What is B1? Can anyone tell me? So this element B1 is nothing but 2 into 3 minus 1 into 4. So it is 2 into 3 minus 4 into 1 divided by 2 divided by 2. So how much do you get? 2 into 3 is 6 minus 4 into 1 is 4 divided by 2. So 6 minus 4 is 2. So 2 by 2. So your element B1, okay, I'll write B1 is 1. Similarly, you try finding out B2. So how will you find B2? You leave off the B2 column, that is the second column, and then you start multiplying with the same logic. Okay, this time I'm going to use a dotted line so as to identify the coefficients of multiplication. So it is 2 into 5, right? 2 into 5 minus 1 into 6 divided by 2. So that's 2 into 5 is 10 minus 6 divided by 2. So 10 minus 6 is 4. So basically you have 4 by 2. What is 4 by 2? Is 2. So I can say that element B2 is 2. Element B2 is 2. Okay. Now I need to find out what? Element B3. Can you tell me what could be the value of element B3? Because to find B3, I should multiply 2 with the these elements. So I don't have elements here, right? So basically, you have 0 and 0 here. So V3 is nothing but 0. You cannot determine V3, so you can just substitute as 0. All right. So V1, V2 you have found out. So in the same way, you can find out the elements of a square row, say C1 and C2. So C1 can be found something like this, right? So I need to find out elements of s to the power 2 row, right? So let us consider the row which is sitting just above s to the power 2 row, that is this row. By making use of the elements of the previous row, let's find out C1. So how will you find C1? That is 1 into 4, 1 into 4 minus 1 into 4 minus 2 into 2. So C1 is 1 into 4 minus 2 into 2. Okay. Divided by 1. I never wanted this, but I ended up in getting this. Okay. So 1 into 4 minus 2 into 2. So what do you get? 4 minus 4 divided by 1, which is 0. So my C1 element becomes 0. Okay. All right. So once you know C1 element, okay, so I'll write it. C1 is equal to 0. I shouldn't have got it. That's fine. That's because of the given characteristic equation. Okay. I'll discuss about it sometime later. Okay. Now let's try to find out the coefficients. Okay. C2. Let's try to find out C2. How will you find C2? C2 is found by multiplying 1 into 6 minus 2 into 0, that is 0, divided by, what is it? Sorry, divided by B1. Okay. So what do you get? C2 as 1 into 6 minus 0 divided by 1. So basically you will get it as 6. Okay. So C2 coefficient is 6. Okay. And once you have this, you can find out the coefficient of s to the power 1 row. Okay. So what do you get? S to the power 1 row is 0 into 2. Okay. So this is 0 into 2 minus 6. Right, because 1 into 6 divided by 0. So what do you get? 6 by 0, that is infinity. Once you get this as infinity, your method fails. So this is one of the difficulty which is encountered in Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Okay, so this is called as difficulty. So at this point of time, let's divert our focus to how to fill up the Routh-Hurwitz table. Okay, so this difficulty, let's discuss maybe in the next class. Okay, this is difficulty. This is called as difficulty. Okay, so there are two difficulties encountered in Routh-Hurwitz criteria, and these difficulties can be overcome using different methods. So those methods are also proposed by Routh-Hurwitz criteria. So one difficulty is this one. Okay, if you get the first element as 0 in any row in a Routh table, what happens is that the row below the previous row becomes infinite. So all these elements becomes infinite. Once you get infinity in your Routh table, then you will not be able to determine the further coefficient and the method fails. So this is called as difficulty 1. Difficulty 1. Okay. There are other difficulties such as row of zeros. In few roots table, what you get is a row of zeros. So when you get row of zeros, you will not be able to find the coefficients of the remaining rows. Okay. So these are the two difficulties. Row of zeros as one difficulty and this difficulty. Okay. That is the first element in the roots table is becoming 0. Okay. So these two difficulties, let's discuss in the next class. Okay, so next class let's discuss about the difficulties encountered. Okay, so try solving today's problems, and if you have any doubts, please ping me in the group. Okay, so to be frank, I'm not happy with the lighting situation. Okay, if you need a offline video, you can just tell me. Even one of you say that, okay, you shoot an offline video, I can do that. All right. So once the proper lighting conditions resume, I will reshoot this video and I will send it across. All right. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. If you don't have any doubts, you can quit the classroom. Thank you.